Okay, Josh Benson, thank you, sir, for taking the time to join the podcast. How are you?
What's up, man? What's up? It's awesome being on. I'm glad you invited me.
Yeah, so I obviously want to talk about the about Howard County dads, and just the engagement you've gotten around the group over the last couple years or so. But first, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who you are, what you do.
So my name's Josh Benson. I'm a web developer by trade, turned tech lead, but I founded Howard County Dads um, in 2018, and essentially, man, just putting the call out there. Where the dads at? Where are they at, man? Because I mean, hanging out in the library or playgrounds. It's like, where are my dads? And I mean, it spiraled into what's now a huge nonprofit for the community.
Yeah, so talk about that. So did you I mean, I know, like, my wife is a part of many moms groups, and those kinds of things, which is great. And I know personally, I was kind of jealous at what she was experiencing. So that's how I kind of discovered you guys. And I was, just searched. I think I searched Howard County dads, and whether it was on Google or Facebook, and there you guys were. Were you kind of in the same boat when you first started it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it wasn't. I didn't start it as an expert in fatherhood, right? I I searched for it. It wasn't there. I was like, all right, well, let's make it. But the thing was, stuff would happen around the house, and I'm like, oh yeah, are you going to this thing this weekend? I could take the kids. Did you know about this? And my wife's like, how do you know about this stuff? I was like, oh, there's this mom's group that I'm in, right? And then it just became a thing, right? Where we would roll our eyes of like, get off the Howard County moms groups, and one night it just clicked. It was just like, why am I doing this? Like, isn't there a dad one? Searched for about 45 minutes and just said, all right, just threw it down. I was like, all right, I'm gonna be sitting here for the next 2 hours creating the Instagram, the Facebook group, and that's how it essentially started.
And so it started as a Facebook group, Instagram page. So you started on social, and how did it turn, or not? How did you kind of add on the nonprofit piece, or how did that kind of come about?
Yeah. So this was it was around this time, right? It was right between Christmas and New Year's, and so I had a little bit of downtime. And the first goal was to essentially that really was the slogan: "Where the dads at?" Like, get them all together. But once we got together, we got them in a bucket in a barrel. It's like immediately, like, this doesn't belong to me, right? This doesn't. It's not. Whatever I post is not a blog or journal of my experience, right? This is a community resource that everybody should have and own. And essentially, that's what a nonprofit is. Like, if it dissolves, it goes to the Howard County Health Department, right? It belongs to the community.
Mhm.
So that was one piece of it. And the other piece is, like, once you were together, it was like, all right, we got to start doing good with our, right? We can hang out, we can have fun, but the collective power and influence that we can have and impact that we can have is magnified when we become a nonprofit to say, hey, what's our mission? What's our focus? Once we do come together, what are we going to actually do? And we gotta help out the struggling among us, right? And Howard County is, one, a great place for families. Two, uh, uh, a well-off place, right? So we we should be able to collect our resources to help out struggling dads, and yeah,
Yeah, and before we, I want to talk more about just, like, using social media to build the group and stuff. But you hit on the some of the work you're doing in the community, and I know that, I know, as we're recording this, we're just past the new year, so just past the holiday time. Talk about some of the stuff you guys were doing around the holidays, because I do, I know I saw a lot of posting around it, and some of the um work you were doing for a couple dads in the area, like you said, that might be struggling or needed some extra help around the holidays. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So just to give you the sort of the trajectory of us doing the good work. Um, Once we became a nonprofit, we said, hey, we're going to start helping those in need. When we started doing restaurant dinner parties, sort of like every 3 or 4 months, and it's like, hey, bring diapers. We would do diaper drives or food drives at those, and we sponsored a family around the holidays, and that was about it. When 2020 rolled around, the need for right the people that lost their jobs, the need just went through the roof, and we said, all right, we need to set up a fund. So we set aside a certain amount of funds and said, if anybody needs help, fill out this confidential form. It only goes to one person on our board, and let us know if you need anything. A guy's HVAC went out. He had a baby. I think baby was on like 6 months old, and a family of 4 or 5. And it was the middle of summer, and repairman couldn't come out for a week. It was like, dude, and ACs were sold out. Right. So, I mean, we used our BJ's membership and got him we had money in the fund. He filled out the form, like, look, here, don't even ask questions. He was like, hey, how can I repay you? I was like, hey, pay it forward. But it started to grow at the end of this year on us to say, to figure out how we could help. And 2 teen dads were referred to us from the health department. So how this works is like the high school guidance counselors tip off the health department to say, hey, such and such is pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
They're juniors in high school. And the social workers actually referred them to us. They said, hey, we got 2 dads. They handle about 1.5 dozen families a year. And they help the moms a whole lot, but they have nothing for the dads. And I told them to let us know when a dad pops up and is really engaged and you have nothing for him, because that's usually what happens. And they did that and said, hey, they're eager to be the best fathers they can and provide for their kids and be involved no matter the relationship with the mom. And so we ramped it up, man. We just said, hey, who can help? Whether it was organizations around the county. I gotta shout out Tactical Baby Gear. Like they don't sponsor. They actually signed up to be a sponsor, but only the gift was they gave stuff to the teen dads, right? We don't get paid by them, but they sent the camo baby carriers for these teen dads. We got diapers. We got a bunch of stuff, and we essentially sent a huge Santa sack to each of them, and said, hey, what else do you need? And families donated strollers, clothes, and a bunch
Wow.
of stuff. Yeah, because I mean, we know as parents how hard it is, and I'm 36, right? It's hard. Let me try this at 16. It's like I can't even wrap my head around it. I
No.
can't.
No, yeah, you're right. I mean, that's amazing. And I'm sure, uh, they, I'm sure the folks that were delivered the Santa sacks, the packages, I'm sure they were just over the moon.
Yeah, yeah. And the great thing about it is we sat back and said, hey, this is a lot of legwork. I'm running around town and getting donations, dropping stuff off. We said we need to formalize this, and the board came together and formed a program called Dad Packages. And so new and expecting dads, we're working on this year. We're going to have a form where you sign up and say, hey, I'm expecting a dad this month, and you get a sort of a welcome package to fatherhood, even if it's your second or third child. Go ahead and fill it out. So stay tuned, because that's going to be dope. It's essentially like, we're here. you have your own people. You don't have to lurk in the moms groups. And we got some cool swag items. We got T-shirts and like stupid decals. Um,
That's it's
yeah,
so nice to have.
yeah,
I think not just the stuff, but just know that there are others out there who just feel what you're been where you are and want to help. I'm sure that's going to be amazing.
yeah, yeah. I think it's just it's rebranding. It's rewrapping what we offer to the community, right? Essentially, it's like people need dad friends. Dads need dad friends, but we'll also be doing a whole lot more by offering um, these dad packages. That, I mean, we got inspirational books,
Hmm.
a Daddy and Me board book in each one, uh, and then all of the community resources that we offer on our blog. So it's dope, man.
That's so cool. I'm sure you get a lot of people too, not from the area, or just didn't grow up like me. I didn't grow up in the area, and not that you did, but you've probably been here a lot longer, than maybe some of these folks that are getting ready to have kids. Like I said, I think I'd only been here a few years when I became a parent in Howard County, and that kind of thing is just it's not only a welcome to fatherhood, it's a nice maybe an extra welcome to the community.
Yeah. So to that point, like that's the theme. Talking to hundreds of dads in our area, that's the theme, man. Nobody's from here. I moved I moved into this house in this county when our first kid was 2 months old. Right. I mean, nobody's from here, and and then generationally, we're not living in the neighborhoods we grew up in.
Hmm.
Right. Like I grew up just outside Philly, but it was a blue collar town and worked at oil refineries that closed like 20 years ago, right? Jobs just aren't there. So this is a place that you migrate to for jobs,
Hmm.
and our support systems aren't there, right? The grandparents aren't right around the corner. So that's where I've seen a lot of people latch on to say, hey, man, my college buddies aren't on the same stage of life. Right? They don't want to hear about my Legos and diapers. So yeah, we get it.
Yeah, and so now, kind of going back to maybe the earlier days. So, you mentioned earlier you started as a Facebook group, and kind of what I remember as a new member, I remember like just kind of calls for like just hey, what are you guys doing this weekend? Or the roll call, right? Or it just like hey, we're going to do a meetup at this park. So just talk about how kind of key Facebook specifically was in just kind of getting the word out and developing this online community.
Yeah, so we can talk about that because that definitely gets into what you guys do, right? Um, the so Facebook, the page was useless to us. It was tough. It was tough. Um, the group is where we shined. Um, we within the first we started. I made the Facebook group in maybe January. By June, it's probably 250 people.
Wow.
It didn't latch on like crazy. Um, and then we had the issues with like the management. Like
Mhm.
like I said, I wasn't doing it because I was an expert in as a dad, and I created the sort of the market square, right? I was like, this is our place, and was ready and willing to get some helping hands. So I almost overdid that, right? So we had a half dozen people just jump in. Who's moderating? Who's letting people in? I think that's something that if somebody's working on building an audience or a platform, um, make sure you just do your research of what's out there and what's available and like what you can do. It's gotten better. Even in 2 years, it's changed, right? With the rules that pop up, the
Mhm.
questions you can ask coming in, that helped a lot. Um, but yeah, we immediately got into a sort of a cadence of um, one of the guys, Brent, was like, "Hey, this was like springtime, maybe April, March, April. I met him in person the first time. He was like, "Hey, uh, you cool with every Thursday or Friday I just do a roll call? It's like, yep. And if you aren't in the group, a roll call is just, hey, what are you doing this weekend? I'm doing this, and this, and I heard there's this, and this going on. What else are you guys doing? And everybody just running down what they're doing, and it usually helps us link up because you see people there, you pat them on the shoulder, and like, hey man, it's sad to think about now because we just haven't been together. We
I
haven't been
know.
together in so long, but yeah, when you know something's going on and you're meeting up at 11 o'clock, it's like, hey, we're going at 11, which means somebody had a temper tantrum and everybody got there 11:30. Just running into people, but that was a mainstay. And one thing that it didn't latch on, it hasn't latched on. Like a few people do it, not everybody does it, but you know how a lot of the groups they offer up free things like, hey, I got this, you can have it for free.
Yeah.
We do that, but they do it for beer, right? It's like, hey man, I got a double stroller, man. It's like, drop off 6-pack, you can have it, right?
That's cool. That's what dads want.
Right. It was like, because usually it's like, here, you can have it for free. It was like, all right, what kind of beer you drink, right? It's like, oh, okay. So I think that's one of the unique things that as moderators you embrace. And we made a topic tag inside the group. It's like stuff for beer or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can filter all the posts and it's like stuff for beer.
That's awesome.
It's essentially our free stuff tag.
Yeah.
Right. So things like that really come in handy. A steady cadence of regular posts so people know what to expect and when to expect it helps.
Yeah, I was going to say, so are you, finding, and it may have evolved over time, probably at the beginning, it was probably you guys as admins trying to get people talking. Are you seeing more as it goes on that, kind of other group members are just kind of starting to reach out and start conversations?
Yeah, it goes from it goes from the moderators posting every day and trying to get comments to two totally different tasks, right? One, controlling what type of posts are happening, and two, controlling keeping a fair balance of content, right? Because if you sit back and don't post anything, you just let the beast grow as it does, right? So you sort of set like, these are the type of posts we post here. These are the type of posts we post here.
Mm-hmm.
Without saying that, you really set the standard. Not to generate comments, but today was a great example, right? It was a politically heated day yesterday and today. And I just went on there just bright and early, 5:30 a.m., just posted, here's a YouTube clip on how to talk to your kids about democracy and civic duty, right? This is how we're going to address this topic. Because somebody else put some other stuff in there that's polarizing. We can address it, but we're going to address it in a fashion of fatherhood, right?
Yep.
Right? It's like, hey, my kid's talking about, like, my kid comes home from kindergarten talking about Donald Trump is X, Y, and Z. It's like, what do you know about you're in kindergarten? You couldn't pick them out of a lineup. So those are the type of things we can address in a group. It's like, hey man, how do you talk to your kids about stuff so that they're not learning on the playground, and just absorbing whatever. So yeah, it shifted from, hey, let's get engagement to, hey, directing the conversation. Okay, we're not gonna do this here. This is what we're gonna do, and you do that enough. What the goal is for somebody to post something and your community respond the way you would, right?
Right.
So we've had that happen, yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's so it's like you have got to get ahead of, be proactive about, the rules you set or the guidelines you set to establish what the group really means, or is intended for. Because I've and I haven't seen so much of it in the Howard County Dads group, but you see in some of the bigger, some of the groups that have thousands and thousands of people, it's just inevitable that there are going to be politically heated conversations. But if you have those guidelines, I mean, your actions that you take, um, following a conversation that may not be welcome in the group are justified.
Yeah, we're lucky because dads are cool, man. Because dads don't got time for that,
Yeah.
right? He's like, look, man, look. Hey, I wouldn't be surprised if 75% of our content being viewed is like dad like locked us up and he's on the crapper, right?
Yeah.
He's like, look,
Totally. Totally.
somebody's banging on the door. He's like, I got 10 minutes of solace. like I
Yes.
don't got time for that. And when we get those people, and so here's a good tip if anybody's built a Facebook group. If it doesn't matter what the content is, if it's a copy and paste content, then just remove it. They do it twice, kick them out of the group. Because it was when I was trying to get on the same page with everybody, all the board members that are moderating and stuff. It was like, how do we gauge what's okay and what's not? It was like, it's easy to tell this is a copy and paste job, right?
Yes.
Right? It could be about the Howard County. It could be very, very relevant. But we're all in multiple Howard County groups. You went down any group that said Howard County in it and pasted. It was like, hey man, you got a good point about what's going on with the school board right now, but you're copying and pasting, and that's not contributing to. It's not unique or contributing to what we're talking about. If you want to talk about the school board, we got plenty of those groups. Not to say you can't talk about the school board, but hey, if the dads want to get together and talk about, hey, how we can be more involved in our kids' education, fine. But that's not this, right? So if it's a copy and paste job, just address it. It's not. It seems like it's like before you get into it, you would. When I'm talking about it now, it's like overwhelming anxiety, but it's actually not that hard once you know what could go wrong, right? Once you know what could go wrong, it's like, hey, when you see stuff get out of hand, address it right away. That's it, right? And so we and dads are cool because I mean I've made comments in mom's group and I just got pounced on.
Oh
Dads
no.
dads don't got the time to respond. Yeah.
One thing I've noticed in other Facebook groups, like I belong to, since I do a lot of live streaming, I belong to like various groups, user groups of various softwares that are live streaming platforms and whatnot. And one thing I can't stand is when somebody posts a question in a group and somebody posts a comment like, why don't you search the group for this answer, or why don't you go to the like I saw somebody one time said, hey, I'm having trouble with my audio, um anybody, can you guys help me with the settings, or something like that. It was a very technical question. Somebody responded saying like, hire an audio guy next time. And it's like that's not why people are coming to this Facebook group. And as far as like if somebody asks a question that maybe you've been in the group a little longer, so it's been answered before, that maybe they're new, and maybe they don't know how to search a Facebook group, and maybe they're just new to the software in general. Like, just be nice. That's not necessary.
Yeah. And so like when you're moderating that stuff, man, you gotta like like rules like be nice. Be generally nice. It's like, hey man, like bear. So I've seen it happen. Back when the groups first started popping up, it was stuff like, oh, read the manual, right?
Yeah.
right? Read the
Yes.
camera manual, right? Yeah,
Yes.
I forget they probably got an acronym for that, right? But I saw in the Black Fathers group, which is they got like 100 and something thousand black guys, dads in there, and the founder, the creator of that group, posted and said younger dads say that they're scared to post to ask for advice because of comments like that, right? The
Hmm.
responses of, oh, like the responses starting off with you're an idiot, right?
Yeah. Right. Basically saying that question's ridiculous.
Right. And
Yeah.
when it comes to whether it's fatherhood or, right, normalizing audio, you got to start somewhere. And this person being proactive enough. Now, I do get it. Some people are just like saying, you know, you can get some of those questions where it's just like, dude, come on. Like, it's like, hold up a sign. It's like, did you Google it first?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. You can, but you gotta be courteous, and you have to make sure your community sets that standard, because I mean that guy constantly that says, oh my gosh, you morons, did you even do X, Y, and Z? It's like, dude, you can't talk to people like that in our group.
Right. That it's, that is not contributing to a community feel.
It's worse. It stifle it, like in that Black Fathers group. It stops people from posting.
Hmm. Does kind
Right.
of pushes you the other direction.
Right. Right. It does what much worse than you expect when everybody sees it. Even it adds to your what lurker population, right?
Hmm.
What is, have you looked up the numbers of what is it? Like 83% of your community won't say or do anything,
No, but I
right?
believe that.
80, even if they view it, they'll view it and
Yep.
nothing else. And then I don't know. It gets in the teens where people will respond, and then it's like single digit percentage where people will actually post, and
Yeah.
that's general population, so that's okay. So I would say also look up those numbers so you understand and expect something realistic, and immediately point out those people in
Hmm.
those last two categories to say, hey, this guy always responds and it's always negative, so I need to watch him, right? And the faster you boot people, the more people will actually post. I would say that's one of our things is don't like I'm quick to yank them.
Doesn't take much.
No, no, it's fine. They don't care.
Yeah.
They'll
If
go
they're
somewhere.
if they're posting like that, or if they're posting a certain way that's going to get them kicked out of the group, it's likely that they might not be there for the right reasons in
Right,
the first place.
right. They're usually like, oh, it took you a while.
Surprised it took so long.
Right, right. You got to think about it from another perspective, right? It's like, because I mean, I'm kind at heart, but after a while, I talked to a couple other moderators. They're like, nope, nope, you can't. Okay, so we'll do that. And I've
Yeah.
never had somebody come back and say, why'd you delete my post?
Really? Never.
No, no.
Wow.
And we've deleted them. It's like, nope, no, we don't need gutter shields anymore. No, no, we don't. Nobody needs your gutter shields. No. And he was like, all right.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's right. I forget there's that kind of stuff too, the selling and yeah, I know that can get old real quick.
Yeah, Facebook made it really easy too, because when you remove a post from a group, you can point to which item in your rules.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's helpful. It's like, and we got a rule that says, give more than you take.
Yes.
So it's like, oh, you're selling again. Yeah. One
Yeah.
strike, you're out.
So, and you hit on this a little bit earlier, just the sadness of where we are today with COVID. So, at the beginning of the Howard County Dads Group, I remember, um, you guys used it to, you were building the community in the group, and then you would take opportunities to get together, like we talked about earlier, for like a play date, or just get together at a park somewhere or something, or even I think you're doing poker nights and stuff. And
Yeah.
um obviously, that, and that's so cool about Facebook groups, especially when it's centered around a location, is like
Right.
you can talk online, and then when you see these people in person, it's like you already know each other, you're kind of like already have a relationship, and that's so cool. And here comes COVID, and kind of threw everything for a loop. So what is it, are you doing anything different, or how have you kind of adjusted the
Yeah.
things you're doing with the group during this time?
Yeah. So one thing I'll say is it served its purpose while we could meet in person,
Mhm.
because a few families that I know of actually formed their little bubble based on the dads that they hung out with, right?
Mhm.
So, and that happened, right? So a lot of, like, you meet another cool family, and yeah, we met in Howard County Dads, but they're off. They hang out, right? That
Mhm.
they may come to happy hours, they may not, but right, they found their dad friends, and it's like was Tinder, Cupid, whatever, okay, Cupid, right? So they're the matchmaking worked,
Uh-huh.
and so they're off doing their own thing. But our programming shifted. Um, so first we said we did a couple virtual happy hours,
Mhm.
and we're just like, we did it twice, and it was good. And dads were going crazy. Some people dads were drinking too much. We're like, man, I needed a break. But everybody was Zoom fatigued, so we took most of the summer off. Right? We just
Mhm.
said, hey man, like, we're not doing that. Nobody
It's
wanted to get on Zoom.
virtual happy hours are tough.
Nobody, yeah. And there's no side conversations, right? I
Yeah.
know there's a couple others. I don't know what they are, but where you can have more side conversations.
Uh-huh.
But in the fall, well, late summer, we're just like, man, we got to do something. And we put it out there. It was like, hey, you want to have a happy hour? And a bunch of people came in. It was like, yeah, man, we had the fatigue, but now we're ready to see some faces again. And it was a hit. And we actually started. We did probably 4 events in the fall. We did and that's what we're probably going. That's what we're going to do going into 2021, is bring in some type of added conversation, rather
Mhm.
bring in a topic, bring
Yeah.
in considering bringing in a parenting coach for 20 minutes to say, hey, here's one thing to tackle in parenthood. All right, cool, cheers.
Mhm.
And then we just hang out. Whoever hangs around hangs around. But we did a virtual comedy show,
Uh-huh.
and 2 or 3 of the dads were Howard County dads, right? It's the Ellicott Silly comedy club, right? It's like, I didn't even know it existed, but they were like, "Yeah, man, we'll get in here," and it was a riot, man. It was good.
That's so cool.
We had 6 or 7. They had 6 or 7 acts, and it was dope, man. And we did it for free. We had it in our budget to do it. We'll probably do another one, but that was a better spin on uh, just having a happy hour. Call in the Zoom and let me know what you're drinking, right? So that was good. Our virtual bingo was a hit too with the families.
That's great. And how, last thing I did want to touch on quickly is, how are you, I think I checked earlier today, and the group is at 600 some members now, and in a couple years. So how are you guys, do you do much recruitment, or do you find most people are just kind of stumbling on the group, like I did?
So the number, so looking at our how people find us, whether so we're across Instagram, a Facebook group, um, uh, 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 not so proud attempt at YouTube, and of course our home base is our website.
Uh-huh.
And based on our feedback on our email sign up list, the number one, and our Facebook group, the top way people are finding us is just by searching either
Mhm.
in Google or in Facebook generally. And our recruitment has been ebbs and it's been ebbs. It goes and comes, right? We'll spend, like, I think over the holiday break, we spent a bunch of time just going into the other Howard County groups and doing the copy paste job that we just talked about doing.
Mhm.
So we did that, and like we went from 500 to 650, right? Right. Um, but um, we we really focus on content,
Mhm. Focus
like,
on the people you have.
right, right, because it frustrates me sometimes because I'm like, oh, it's no way we shouldn't have 1,000 people in on our email list and in the Facebook group based on the sheer title of our group and where we are,
Mhm.
right? It's fertile ground for fathers in this area, right? Like, this is where families are.
Yep.
Um, but then I say, if I had 4,000 people, what would I want, right? And then, like, all right, well, let's focus on, if I had them here, what would I want them to see when they hit the front door?
Mhm.
So we focus on that, and we figure they'll come, right? Um, and I think that's why we're working with these dad packages to say, let's get them as soon as they know
Yeah.
they're expecting a kid. I think that's where we get in. Um, so we're trying to make a partnership with the hospital
That
because we got an email. I got an email this week. I don't know. I'm signed up for a bunch of emails. I don't know how I got signed up for this, but the hospital sent the email blast. It's like, are you a new mom expecting soon, or that just had a newborn? Join our virtual new moms uh, group group sessions so we can share tips with fellow moms in the area. I was like, what?
yeah, how'd
And
this
so,
happen?
right. So, one, how did I get it? And two, it was like, you got nothing for dads. So, responding was like, you have anything for dads? If not, we're more than happy to talk to you, fill in that void. And so, we'll try to work with them and see if we can offer something, because I can imagine I didn't have either of my kids here,
Mhm.
but still, well, I went through all those appointments. It was just like, hey, babe, you need water? Like,
Yes.
what am I here for? Um, like, even the tour of the hospital, right? Everything's just like, yeah, hold the pamphlets, hold the bags, right? And
Yep.
so we want to fill that void to say, hey, man, here's a dad bag um, of stuff, information to get you started, dad tips, new dad advice, and a little bit of swag to go with it, so you can embrace being a father, man. I think our generation has to step into it. If we're doing this charge to elevate women in the workplace,
Mhm.
to do that, we got to elevate dads in the household.
Absolutely. I love that, and I think, I think back to when I was, in the hospital, like you said, and becoming a new dad, and um, you're just your life is like flipped upside down, and no matter how much preparation you can do, you're never fully prepared until it happens, and I think, yeah, like you said, the resources for even, rightly so, everything is focused on, for the most part, the baby, right?
Yeah,
Then of course the moms, but even still, after the fact, or even like, maybe like you said, maybe as you're exiting the hospital, I maybe even if it would have just added just like a little bit of calmness, if I had seen, like, hey, there's a group of dads you can reach out to anytime, join, this is we're here to help, stuff like that, so that's awesome.
yeah. I mean, imagine being lit up. You get a card to say "Congrats, Dad" while you're pushing that wheelchair out, right? It's like
Yep.
it would light you up. So we'll see if we can fill that void. But Yeah. So I don't know how much time you got, but I wanted to bring up our YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
please go ahead. I
Yeah.
was getting ready to say I didn't want to take up too much of your time, but yes,
Yeah.
talk about your YouTube. What are you doing?
So it goes in with the uh, the Facebook group. So what we tried this summer was uh, I was like, all right, well let's do some video content because one, our bounce rate on our website is terrible. So I want to get we started making YouTube videos, and the latest one we post on our homepage, and it actually increased our both our it improved our bounce rate, and it increased our subscribers because if you stay there for 20 seconds, you get to pop up and say, hey, do you want to subscribe to email? It's like, yay, win-win.
All right.
But the videos suck. So we got to improve that. But what we did was like, hey, you guys are posting awesome stuff, what you're doing with your kids, but we can't share that stuff. So what I would do is say, hey, I'm about to make a YouTube video for Dad Spotlights for the week. I did them like once a month. What fun are you doing with your kids lately? It was the summertime. It's like to stay cool without traveling. A bunch of splash pads, slip and slide, bunch of crazy madness, right? Water balloon fights, and so I would pull them together and I would ask for video, but hey, we'll take photos too, and then I'll turn it into a half of it was updates on what's up with Howard County Dads. The other half was sort of um, sharing ideas based off of that slideshow, that montage that I put together. And I mean, I was really just chasing after getting comfortable in front of the camera. I was like, I don't care how bad it is. I just need to go. Right.
Yep.
I just need to go.
That's it.
It got better and better, but it's tough, man. It's I didn't realize how much energy it takes to be on camera that long. And I'm like, I wasn't writing scripts or what are the things, the teleprompter.
Yep.
Like I saw some cool hacks to put sort of a lens teleprompter in front of your camera. It's
Yeah.
like I probably could use that, but man, it was rough, man. I was doing a 15-minute video, but it would take me like an hour and a half.
And then the editing, it's
That was just the shoot, yeah. And then the editing, because if you got 15 minutes worth of content stuck in an hour and a half long video,
that's a lot of editing.
That's a lot of editing.
Yes.
I learned a lot, and it sped up, and my threshold for quality just dropped. I'm like, nope, it's okay. We're going live.
It's amazing though, and I think especially now with COVID, you see it in all of the major broadcasting networks. You see it on sports. Just the sort of change in what's like acceptable TV, right? I mean, and people are okay with it because if the message is good, they're gonna watch.
That's it, right?
And they can hear you.
Right. I think that's the audio. Like they said, right? You can have the crappiest video in the world. The audio is clear, and you got value. You're golden.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, we're gonna keep going, but I'm gonna get sort of a co-host to do something like this.
Yeah.
Where we do it live, because to cut down on the editing, like, hey man, if we get goofy or we get off track, we don't. Hey, we gotta keep going because, like, it's a terrible demographic to be asking for volunteers, right? So we're all busy. So I'm just like, man, we can go. I can put together a slide deck and we present a slideshow and hop in between our faces in the slide deck, and we're gonna give that a stab. But I mean, I think we made like 6 or 7 videos. It's tough getting content from Facebook. And then what I wanted was videos from families. And when they post a video, I was like, yeah, you can share this on any of your social media platforms. You can't download a video from Facebook, right? It's from the group. and so we had that issue. So I will have to go back and do a a message. Now, what I found was really helpful was the Dropbox file request.
Hmm.
I just started doing that for our contest. We did a holiday lights display, and we said, hey, if you have a video of your holiday lights um, that you want to enter in the contest, fill out this form. And step one was fill out the form. Step two was click this link to Dropbox and upload your file. It was awesome. They could only see their stuff. It sent the email trigger, let us know it was there.
Yes.
It also asked them for their name and email address when they upload it, so you can correlate whose junk is whose. And then it tags the file with the person's name. I'm like,
It's got to be, and when you're asking your audience to submit, it's got to be easy, right? It can't be, um, kind of a workaround whole process, right? If you want more from your users or your audience, it's got to be easy.
right, right, because you're going through. It's like, yeah, here's a video from Jeff. Yeah, I don't know who sent this in, but here, right? No, they have the names tagged,
Yep.
and and you got clear consent, right? Because they uploaded it to. They didn't just post it on Facebook, so we'll be doing that more. Um,
You made another good point too, and I've found this. As my a full time job, I do a lot of live streaming productions, and also do, in the COVID environment, a lot of virtual video recordings. And I swear it is so much easier, and people don't think it at first, but it's so much easier to just do it live, because when something is recorded, you have it, in your mind, like, I could do this again if I mess up. And you have like the almost the want to make it too perfect. And like you said, when you're live, or we're having a conversation like this, it's just much easier to be yourself, be authentic, be casual. Like you said, if you goof or mess up, you kind of just, you're a human and you move on, right?
yeah, it goes from and it's from the viewer's perspective. It goes from I'm consuming content to I'm hanging out with them,
Yes.
right? Because yeah, like my expectations when I was recording, it was like, oh, all right, I got to do that over. I
Yep.
stumbled, I stuttered, I don't know what the heck I'm talking about, and you lose all types of just the natural uh, body language and tone and voice. So you turn into a robot, speaking head, and yeah. So we're gonna try that. I don't know. Do you? I should ask you, right? Is there a way to go in and out? What's the best medium? I would say to have two people talking
Hmm.
and to go in and out of content, whether it's in a Google slide deck or I guess media files.
Yeah, there are so many, I would say, kind of ways to go about it. I'm using StreamYard to record this, and that is one software. If I could do like a screen share and go back and forth between you and I, or like this view if I wanted. I also use Switcher Studio regularly, which is excellent for bringing in graphics and whatnot, and even Zoom, and Zoom, they're probably one of the cheaper options. You're not going to get as much like graphics, lower third banners, and pre-roll or anything like that, or just. But if you're just doing a conversation and you want to share a slideshow, I mean, it's fantastic for stuff like that. So, Josh, I'd love to, maybe offline we can certainly
Yeah,
chat some more about that. I'd love to help out.
that'd be cool. Yeah, because that seems like one, it's less maintenance. Two, it's better content.
Yes, absolutely. It's authentic, and people are showing their real selves, and become more relatable. And um Josh, I don't want to take up much more of your time. We're going on almost 50 minutes here. It's flown by. I really appreciate you coming on. Any last thoughts you want to leave with, as far as you've said a lot of what to expect from Howard County Dads in 2021. But anything else you want to leave with?
No, man. So I would just say make sure you take advantage of this crazy environment that we're in, right? It's it's not ideal. It's not the best, but it is unique. So there's no time like the present to do whatever you want to do, right? Whether it's just start your own podcast or start up a group. Yeah, check out howardcountydads.com and subscribe. The best way, like all the social media platforms are getting crazy with these algorithms. If you want to stay up with what we're doing, you got to subscribe to our email list. That's the only way you actually see our stuff. But yeah, man, we're doing big things, and it's getting bigger in 2021.
Well, as a member, it's been a pleasure to see the group grow, and I make it a resolution to myself, to maybe get more involved this year, man. So we'll chat more offline, but thank you again, Josh, for taking the time to be on it. It's much appreciated.
Cool, man. It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.